Welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Today I'm going to do a small video regarding heat mats. Now I didn't know they existed until a few weeks ago when somebody was saying that their resin had cured funny overnight. And because of the low temperatures outside, if your resin is curing in the cold, it doesn't like it. I've had many a spoiled piece in the past where the resin has cured in the cold and it really doesn't like it. So now I don't have my heating on overnight. So if I've got resin that's curing overnight, I'm in trouble. So when I heard about heat mat, I thought I was going to have to try this. This is a Reptile Heat Mat that I purchased. It hasn't got a thermostat, but it does have a, if I can show you, get hold of it. It does have a little control to turn the heat up and down. Now if I have my resin sitting on this overnight when it's getting cold outside and the temperature in the room will be dropping, hopefully this will help it cure. I'm going to do a little experiment just on 2 bits of resin and yeah, let's have a look at the results. Okay, so this is the heat mat that I purchased. It's a Reptile Heat Mat from Amazon. The link is in the description. It's an affiliate link which will give me a few pennies towards the channel, but it won't cost you any more if you want to use it. So I've just plugged it in and I'm seeing what the temperature is across the board. Now it's been plugged in for about half an hour and I'm checking to see what the temperature is. .1 degrees on the left hand side, 35 in the middle and 32 on the right hand side. Now it does indicate to me that the mat is hotter on the left hand side away from the plug than it is on the right hand side. And it may change over time, but I've decided that I will use the left hand side to put my coaster on. I'm also taking the temperature of the surface that hasn't got the mat just to make sure that the heat mat isn't heating up the surface next to it, which it isn't. So I've just placed them on the mat and you can see that there is a difference already between the two, 24 degrees and 29 degrees. I'm now giving you a close-up and I'm using Vista Cascade resin, made in Sheffield in the UK and very agreeable prices. After a while you can see it's heated up 22 degrees on one and 38 on the other. That's just after about an hour. So I'm going to use the same resin from the same jug in both of the moulds. Now these are old moulds, they're not perfect, but they're just for the purposes of the test. I didn't measure how much was in each mould. I think one was slightly thicker than the other, but it's not an exact science test. It's just to see how the heat mat works and how good it is, basically. Using a heat gun to pop the bubbles. I figured I should do it as I normally would do resin, and always use a heat gun to pop the bubbles on resin, so I thought might as well do it normally. Now this is after about half an hour. Take another test and it's 43 degrees on the heat mat and 27.5 without the heat mat. This is getting dark. Now this is about 4 in the afternoon. They've been on the mat for about an hour now and you can see there's quite a clear difference, 32 on one side and 50 on the other. And in the morning, 33 degrees on the right hand side on the heat mat and 20 degrees on the left hand side without the heat mat. So they're ready to demould. Now this is about 18 hours after pouring. lovely and clear. There is a bubble, but that's user error. On the other side, however, you can see, I think it's called a blush. Not 100% sure, but I think it's a blush. And look at those bubbles. You can actually see those bubbles on this camera. I didn't know if you could, but you can, and it is awful. The lines of the mould is just an old mould. Don't worry about those. That's not going to make any difference. But it's the bubbles and the blush that makes the difference. Well, I tried to give you as many temperatures as I could there. It was quite different between the two. This is the piece that, I don't know if you're going to see that. This is the piece that was not on the heat mat. And you can quite clearly see it hasn't cured properly in the middle. There are also, I don't know if you can see on camera, there are also quite a lot of bubbles. Very microphone bubbles, but bubbles nevertheless around the outside. In the piece, not on the edge. And even though that's gone 24 hours, you can still see that that hasn't cured properly. The temperature outside last night was around -1. It didn't go down that low in the room. It probably went down to about 15, 14 degrees. But even though, you can still see that it doesn't like the cold. This one, however, was on the mat, and look at the difference. Completely clear, no micro bubbles. There is a bubble there, but that was a user error. That's the bubble from the mould that I didn't get out. But nothing, absolutely nothing inside at all. No curing issues, and it is totally solid. Now, they were both poured from the same jug, and that's the difference heat mat makes. Consider it. There's a link in the description if you want. It's an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more, but it does give me a few pennies towards the channel. But yeah, think about it. There's plenty of different types of heat mats as well. I just chose one, a reptile mat. There's dog mats, there's all sorts. But think about it, in the cold weather, if you deal with the cold weather, you can see the difference. Anyway, have a nice week. I'll be back next week. Bye bye for now.